Coming up next, put your hands together for Drew Davis.
What's up, everyone? Let's give it up for Craig, our host. Happy Father's Day. I don't know if we've done this already, but clap or cheer if you're a father. Can I? Yeah, awesome. Glad you guys are here. I'll tell you who's not here. Thank you. Glad you're here too. I know who's not here. My dad isn't here. You don't know. Say what you want about all the comedians, but you don't get to this point if you have two healthy parents, right? You don't. My parents got a divorce when I was a sophomore in college because my dad had not just one girlfriend, not just two girlfriends. This is a weird kindergarten class, right? Not just three girlfriends, but three girlfriends, a wife, and my mother. A sophomore in college, I was unloading my trauma to my friends in real time, and everyone always says sophomore men are the most friendly group of fellas out there. So I was telling them, yeah, this is what's going on. It's like, wow, your dad can get 5 women, and you can't even get one. But the story gets worse, because we learned that year that my dad wasn't just cheating on my mom, he was a white-collar criminal. Yeah, stealing money from the hospital. Yes, from the hospital that he worked from a children's hospital, no less. Now, the only thing I do try to look at everything from both sides. And sir, if you had 5 women in your life, you might start stealing from children. I try to be understanding to all circumstances. But the reality is one of the worst things about that is there are children that didn't get the help they needed because my dad was paying for 5 women in his Cadillac collection. And I'm not saying this is worse, but I also had to pay for my own college. I know, kind of unfair, right? But here's the thing, when you have, and maybe you guys can relate to this in some kind, when you have parents that do not great stuff and end up not being great people, it's confusing because there's like you still have like their life lessons that they gave you. Like my dad's biggest life lesson, you let me know what you think about this, but he used to tell us all the time, me and my brother, he says, every man needs his ass kicked at least once in life. Do you confirm? It's true, it's because fellas, at one point we think we're the biggest deal ever, until we get our ass kicked once. And then like when I went home that day, my dad was like, well, now you know. Here's what happened. I was bullying a child in 8th grade. In my defense, he was an 8th grader with a rat tail. But then turns out his older brother, who had like awards in Taekwondo and stuff like that, beat me up. And so the lesson was don't pick on kids that have bigger, older brothers. Now I know, and I kept it with it. And fun fact, I learned later that guy also had awards in sharpshooting, so it could have been way worse. could have been tough. That was my dad. And one thing I've learned in the past few years is I'm not really a dad material. Shocker, right? Say what you want about the comedians that get up here, but rarely does anyone get up here and you're like, that'd make a great parent. Except for the ones that are parents. Obviously, they're the best. That got weird. No, here's the thing. For a couple years of my life, I actually had to take care of a 16-year-old, and I've heard that's the best age group to just randomly pick up. And here's what happened. I should back up and tell you a little context. I used to be a youth pastor before I was a comedian. It's a weird, thank you, I guess. It's a weird thing to tell a group of strangers, because right now you're wondering, why youth? What happened? So let me go and answer the 2 questions you're wondering. Yes, I still believe in God, and no, I didn't do that. Thank you. I like to tell myself they're cheering for a good joke. Or they're cheering that I'm not a pedophile. I don't know. But both are worth good. Anyway, so at the last church I worked at, which was in Memphis, Tennessee, it's a good random place, we had a program where there was a lot of kids that had terrible home lives, and we would eventually find them like people in the church that they could live with and get them out of some really tough stuff. Long story short, there I was in the police station at Memphis, Tennessee, and one of my kids had run away. And the police officer was looking at me and said, I'm going to level with you. Either you take this kid now or we're throwing him back on the streets. And this is how I know I'm a bad parent. I was like, which street? And then they told me, and I was like, oof, that's a bad one. I'll take him. So, and listen, it was weird trying to take care of a 16-year-old for a couple of years. And here's the thing, you get to read the police report, like how he got there. How he got there was his dad threw him out the front door, like literally through the front door and was choking him. And like his grandma called the police and said, my son just broke my front door. Which I feel like is bearing the lead of the situation. And I remember when I read that, much like all of you guys, I was like, that's disgusting. I could never do that to a teenager. That's terrible. That's disgusting. 2 weeks with this kid. I didn't do it. But you know, just like with my dad, maybe he had 5 girlfriends he needed to pay for. Maybe it makes sense. I'm just, don't do it, but like, okay. But since knowing he had such a, rough upbringing, there were times where I was like, I didn't know how cool he was about stuff. Like if he knew the right or wrong way of doing things. For example, one time we went out with a couple of my friends. They were a lesbian couple. They were married, beautiful people. And so on the way home, I was like, yeah, so what do you think of them? Wondering like, how does he feel about lesbian couples? And he said like, yeah, love is love. I'm perfect, awesome. Yeah. And he's like, it's a problem that, he's like, if only one of them wasn't black though. I was like, oof, oof. And we actually got in a problem with that one time because one time another kid in my youth group texted me. He said, hey, your kid just called my girlfriend a lot of derogatory names. Girlfriend was black. And he was like, and I really just want to beat him up. I just really just want to knock him up. I remember your lesson from a few weeks ago about how love and grace and forgive and turn the other cheek. So like, as a Christian, what should I do? And I said, beat him up a little. Yeah. What are they gonna do? Call the parents? Parent would side with me. He's like, throw him out a door. Now he knows. Is all I'm saying. Now he knows. And the crazy thing is this story is an old one. And a while back, this is gonna bring it down a little bit. But he did pass away. Yeah. And so, but he would love these incredibly dark jokes about him. So you're allowed to laugh. I learned a couple things. So before that happened, he got in some big trouble with the police. So I was trying to be a parent. So I took his phone, but he was an adult at that point. So I was just tucking in another man's phone as an adult because he's not really mine. So that felt weird. And then he ran away. And then I moved to Nashville, and then he passed away. Now I still have his phone. So if anyone wants to buy merch after the show, listen, you guys have been absolutely great. I've been Drew. Let's bring back our amazing host, Craig Irwin.
Give it up for Drew Davis.